Good morning. It is Zena Krogadal, your American Dream Makers host. I am so glad you're able to join us this morning. And if you are here live, please go ahead and share this out. I've got an amazing guest this morning, and she's going to share some really critical information. She's an amazing woman of many, many talents. And so I want to make sure that you guys share this out. And also, if you can go to streamyard.com/Facebook, give StreamYard permission so we can see your comments, because we definitely want to see your comments. So if you're here, that'd be great. Pop in and tell us hello. And if you're watching this on the replay, please share this out. This information absolutely needs to get out, because let me tell you, the need for empowering seniors is absolutely at its height, I believe, because we've got seniors who absolutely need to know how to navigate the journey of aging with confidence and security. And so my guest this morning is Stephanie Sellers, and she is going to tell us what that all looks like, and you are going to get to know her. She is a fantastic lady, and so let's bring her on without further ado, because she is absolutely helping to make the American dream come true for many people. Hi there, Stephanie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm doing really well this morning, Stephanie. So I am so glad that you are able to be with us today, because I know you are like crazy busy, because you've got so many hats and so many talents, but your passion is to help empower seniors. And I love that. I love that. So as we get started, Stephanie, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself, you know, who you are, where you're from, and what led you to want to come out and help seniors?
Thank you so much for having me, Zena. I am just a little girl from a very small town in North Carolina, and I am very blessed. You see, at 28, I had the first of 7 mini strokes, and that will change your life. And it put me on a brand new trajectory. I've always enjoyed and loved being in healthcare, and I was in healthcare for 34 years. And after the first stroke at 28, and 2 weeks later having the second and third stroke, and having a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, your life is forever changed. You look at things a lot differently. And I say that because I no longer took everything for granted. You know, at 28, you're not saying, oh, I've got forever to think about getting old and thinking about who's going to take care of my children if something happens. You know, that's down the road. You're thinking about all of the love and what you're doing with the kids and getting them everywhere they need to go, right? And going to work every day, providing for them. And suddenly everything stops. Well, after the third one, in the second week, I then was thinking, okay, is one going to take me out? Then I started having the brain fog, and things were not processing the way a 28-year-old was processing. I was then processing the way a 70 or 80-year-old was processing. And although the neurologist was saying, Stephanie, it's going to come back, you're going to be okay, it took a little bit. So my love in healthcare began to change. I loved it. I just started gravitating more towards the senior realm of healthcare rather than general practice. I started going towards a specialty, and my specialty led me to assisted living and memory care. And I got into the dementia realm as well. And fast forward, I have 7 strokes. And at that point, you're then truly living. I'm 52. My body says I'm 52 if you're looking at me, but cognitively, I'm slower than a 52-year-old person. I am fine mentally, but it takes me a little longer to do things. I'm fine. Mentally, all the tests are right. But for me to take on new information, I've got to hear it about 3 times before I'm ready to say, I've got it. So that's created this, I understand it, what seniors are going through, and I can put in words what it's like for them as they're going to be aging. Because what they are now taking on as their new norm, cognitively, and the slowdown, I've been experiencing for more than 20 years.
Wow.
As the child of the senior, I can put into words for them, this is why mom and dad are doing some of the things that you think is a little off. And working in assisted living and memory care facilities and running them for more than 25 years, it's okay. Your mom has a form of dementia. Well, there's over 100 forms of dementia in the dementia umbrella. And we just know Alzheimer's is the first thing that comes to mind. That is one of the most widely known. However, there's tons of forms like Parkinson's, frontal lobe dementia like Bruce Willis has. You have so many different forms. So when you think about dementia, it can be multiple forms. And when families would come into the assisted living and they would say, well, my mom's doing this or they're doing this, then I can step in and say, well, this is why they're doing what they're doing. And let me give you some of the why so that you can understand. And then I'm opening up this whole new world so that they're not saying, well, she's just not listening to me. And when we come with the knowledge, the scary of the situation dissipates. And then they're opening themselves up to say, okay, I need to understand, listen, and not just totally react. And so often as the child of the aging parent, we are not wired to become the parent to the parent.
Right.
And walking the children of the aging parent through that is huge. And it's a lot of acceptance. It's a lot of grief. And it's very cyclical, what we're going through in every situation. So what I've learned is everything happens for a reason. We are put in people's paths for us to impart into them or them to impart into us. And when we walk in God's will, He puts them in our path, and we are just to be His light. And when we do that, everything works out. It works out the way it's supposed to. And at the same time, we are enlightening others, and they are being given every opportunity to love one another, to find their help and their resource.
I love that. So I want to go back just a little bit here. So
Sure.
you had mini strokes
Yes.
Age of 28. Now, did they come up with a diagnosis for you?
The
Did they
first
know?
3 were
Okay.
migraine induced,
Oh, wow.
and the last 4 were stress induced.
At the age of 28. Wow. And so that obviously was a life-changing moment as you described, because it obviously changed things that you couldn't do what another 28-year-old, was out there
No,
doing. And you were faced with the possibility of, am I even going to live into my 30s? Is that,
yeah,
yeah, okay. So in that, obviously, you didn't let that keep you from going on, because you could have just crawled into a hole and felt sorry for yourself and clicked on the disability button and said, I'm done. But you obviously didn't, because look at you today. So walk us through that a little bit of what helped you to get through that trial, that storm, that thing that was in front of you that you could have just said, forget it. I'm just going to wait till death comes and takes me.
as a mom, there is no quit. When you've got 2 little ones and you've always told them, we don't stop, we just like in baseball, you are on a team. Our family is our team. We don't stop. When it gets hard, we pull our big girl panties up and we go out there. We go do what it takes. We're not quitting in the middle of the game. I didn't have an option. You don't give up. You find a way. When I look at obstacles, I don't look at finding ways to go around them. I go through them. Some people say I go over them. As a little person of being 4'10" and 10 inches and 3/4, and I am very proud of my 3/4. It's hard for me to go up high. I have to climb.
Mm.
I'd rather bust through the door or bust through the obstacles so that people can come behind me. Yeah, I reach back and pull people up with me all the time, but why not make the door?
I love that. You're like small, a dynamite comes in small packages. So that's what it is.
Yes.
I absolutely love that, Stephanie. And you are right. There is something that God places in us as mamas, that you have to keep going, because the strength comes from, you've got little ones that are looking, and you're teaching, and you're right. They are watching more than they're probably even hearing the words that you're saying. And I love that not only are you the type of person to just bust through the obstacles, but you love to bring other people along. So this journey of helping seniors sounds like that it's just that avenue right now. I want you guys to come along with me, and I'm
Yeah.
going to show you how to navigate through this, because Stephanie, many times, as I live in a very highly retired community.
Mhm.
And so I know, hearing many of the retirees, they do have that, gosh, what's that next step? Because I may not be able to live in my house by myself any longer. My children want me to sell my things and come home, but how are they going to take care of me? I mean, all these questions come about, and when they're looking at the later stages of life, first of all, emotionally, that can be very devastating when you've been an active person all your life, and then suddenly you lose the cognitive abilities and the physical abilities that you did not have. Stephanie, it's amazing to me to hear that what had happened to you at the age of 28, God is using you to help those to come along, because like you said, you understand. So tell us, as people are asking these specific questions, what does that next step look like? And you're having this consultation with them when you're looking at them. What words of encouragement do you have for them?
Zena, that's a great question. You know, the first thing I say is aging in place can be done, and it can be done safely. And aging in place does not mean that you will necessarily stay in the home you've been in for 30 years. Aging in place in your home can be whatever home you choose to be in for this period of time. Home is where the love of your family is, where you're cared for safely. Let me give you an example. My mom and dad have just moved into a one-story ranch home after 32 years of living in a home, and they did not want to move. It was a two-story, 3,200 square foot home. All the bedrooms were upstairs. And if they made a bedroom downstairs and a full bath downstairs, they were going to price themselves out of that development. They had more than enough money to do it. The development was great. They didn't want to leave the little pond behind them. But I said, you're going to spend more money. You're not going to get the money out of it. Why are you doing it? Change is hard, but you're making more room and more for you to keep up with. Let's move to what's right. Let's get rid of the things you don't need, and let's live in what you need now. Downsizing is not bad. The love you have for one another isn't going away. It's just moving to a new home that is more suitable for you. It's one where we're having handrails in the bathroom so you don't fall, where you don't have the lip going into the shower or going over the tub to get in. Rather than having the microwave up over the stove and having to pull things out, it's going to be where it's hip level, or we're going over like it's a drawer so that we're not going to get burned. Let's look at things to make it safe. You know, let's think about this. We spend so much time with our toddlers and our babies, keeping them safe from getting hurt when they fall, from getting hurt when they reach and touch something or putting their hands in the outlets. We go around and put all those little safety measures in, right? How much time do we put into keeping me, now that I'm a senior, I've got my AARP card, safe, and my parents safe from the falls? I'm not saying go and get all the little pool noodles and wrap it around stuff. We don't need to be wrapped in bubbles, okay? But what are we doing to protect them? It can be little things like moving the rugs, because a fall can be prevented. And a fall is not just a fall. Let me give you a statistic. 99% of all falls in the home are preventable. Now, when a senior falls, they most likely will break a hip, a leg, a bone, okay? If it is a hip or a femur or a rib, most likely they will, 95%, of them will end up with pneumonia.
Interesting.
Now, if they are in their late 70s, 80s, or above, and they break the hip, most likely within the next 6 months, they will pass away, and it will not be a result of the hip fracture. It will be pneumonia.
That is interesting. So what is the correlation between the hip fracture and pneumonia? Is it because of not moving around?
The inability to move. And your lungs fill with fluid because you're not moving, you're coughing, you're not able to get the fluid up and get it gone. And then you're going to end up passing. And it's the fall is secondary because of the pneumonia becomes the primary diagnosis. So, how do we prevent the fall? Well, I go into homes and I do assessments. And I do 19-point home assessments for safety. I go in and I do full assessments for comprehensive assessments to say, how are you aging in place? What are you looking to do? Are you wanting to stay here? Well, let's see if you and your home are a match, because you may not be a match. But if you are, let's see what we can do to make you, rather than a 50% match with your home, what can we do to get you a full 100%? Is it feasible? Are you just wanting to stay here a little while? What happens if your spouse passes? And I start asking hard questions in that assessment. And then I come back, I'm looking at everything from cognitive standpoint to fall and risk assessment inside the home, outside the home. I'm looking at what can be done in the home for modifications to keep them there. And then I'm sitting back and I'm saying, okay, with what I'm seeing, with what they're doing, it may not be a good idea for them to be here at all. Maybe it's time for assisted living. Maybe they can stay here if they get some PT and OT, physical therapy or occupational therapy or both. I'm sorry, I'll throw a few ABC words at you with all the health care. And then in 24 hours, I present to them and their adult child the findings in written form. And then I go back and I do a Zoom with them and I explain everything. And then we come up with a comprehensive plan and I walk them through it.
Wow.
So for me, it's about being prepared before that 911 happens, because we know that 911 is going to happen. The trick is 911 does not come knock on your door and say, okay, you're being served. In 4 days, you're going to have the situation and you might want to start getting prepared, because that didn't happen with me. Boom, it was there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's great. Stephanie, so I'm going to put up on here your website, premierseniorresource.com. If any of you want to get a hold of Stephanie, absolutely go visit this website. I'm going to put her information scrolling on the bottom. So I'm going to leave that there as we continue our discussion. Stephanie, so which areas do you serve? Do you have your services in?
I am all over North Carolina, of course. I do one-on-one in-persons in the homes within an hour, 2 hours of me. I will go to places to do them in person if I have multiple in that area. I also can do them via Zoom. thank the Lord for COVID, right?
Mhm.
We hear all the negative about COVID, but COVID has brought us so many advancements, just like telehealth. And as long as I can have someone that can show me what I'm needing to see, I can do them. It just takes a little longer to do them by Zoom. And I just have to have good internet connection. So I need someone other than the senior to be there to show me what I need to see. And so I've got clients in California, in Connecticut, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina. I've got them everywhere. So through our internet, I have them everywhere.
Wow.
I also have a book. It's called Aging in Place Safely, that outlines everything I'm talking to you about.
That's great. So can they get that book from you at premierseniorresource.com? Is that where it's available?
They can, or they can get it on Amazon.
Oh, it's on Amazon as well. Great.
Or they can order it through my website.
Okay. That's fantastic. Now you're working on another book as well.
I am. It's called Legacy Blueprint, and it's a comprehensive guide to stress-free estate management. And what this does is it gives everything you need in an emergency situation right there at your fingertips. You grab it and you say, I've got everything I need for mom, and you go to the hospital. Let me give you an example. You get a call that mom has had not been seen today, and the neighbor goes in to check on her. Okay, mom's unconscious. They call 911, and you're on your way to the hospital. You don't know what's going on. And let's say you get to the hospital and the doctor's looking at you saying, okay, does she have a do not resuscitate? You're going, what is that? Does she want any life-saving measures performed? Does she want to be resuscitated? Does she want us to put a tube down her to breathe for her? Well, I don't know, but you got to do it. And if you don't know it, they're going to do it. It's already been done. So let's proceed. It's been done. Mom's on a breathing machine. They then say, did mom want, she can't eat. We've got all the tubes in her. Did mom want artificial feedings? I don't know. Well, you've got a choice to make. Do you want mom to live on artificial nutrition? Think about it. Mom's 80 or 90. They've just broken multiple ribs. Because it's like this. When I administer CPR, it's not, will I break ribs? I will. It's how many ribs will I break? And I'm praying, God, let me not puncture a lung. Because even the big guys, it's easy to break a rib. And I'm praying I'm not going to puncture a lung. And I say that twice because of the importance of what I'm saying. In a senior, when you do that, the recovery is so intense and so hard. They may recover and come off the breathing machine, but recovering from the pneumonia is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what mom's wishes were, are you going to know what type of insurance coverage she has? Are you going to know what type of long-term care policy she has, or if she has it? If once she gets out of the hospital, do you know what's going to be covered for her recovery? Do you know where she would want to go to recovery? And do you know what she has, so that in assets, because skilled nursing is not cheap. And you've got to know all of this in order for her to get cared for. And there on the back end of that lies the house and all of the other assets for you to provide care. Now you're going, oh my gosh. Well, with this, it throws into the discussion. Have you planned? What if mom doesn't come out of it? What if mom passes? Are you prepared and know what she wants for her funeral? Is there a pre-need? Have you prepaid? Does she have insurance? Does she have everything written out as who she wants to do what? Who do you need to contact if she passes? There's a whole host of things that have to take place. Yeah. Are there things that mom wants you to know that she's never discussed with you yet? And are there things that she wants her grandchildren to know? So, if you have the book, it's called Legacy Blueprint. If you have this and a situation would occur and you get that call from your mom's neighbor, you go to the house, you grab the book, and you go to the hospital, and it's all laid out. You know her assets, you know her insurance information, you know who to call in case of an emergency. You know everything you need to know. Her living will is there, so you know what she does and does not want. And you have everything right there in front of you, and you don't have to have all those worries and the deer in the headlight look. You've got it right here, and you can focus on mom, because that's the important thing. And it takes all the worry and the weight off your shoulders. Now, does it take a little bit of uncomfortable conversations? Yeah. But being prepared for that 911 is much better than sitting there in that hospital freaking out and not knowing, and then trying to leave and get everything together in the last minute. Because I'm here to tell you, running assisted livings and getting those calls, I need your help. I just was told my mom's leaving the hospital in 2 days, and I can't leave work. I've missed work for so many days, and I've got to have this job, and I can't take care of my mom. She needs 24-hour-a-day care. And what am I going to do? Well, first, let's breathe. And I need you to answer these questions. Well, I don't know these answers. Well, this is what I need. If you have it, then everything else you can get me. But having it is the first step.
Yeah. Makes total sense, Stephanie. And it's good that you are there guiding them through these, because you're right. Many people don't sit there and think of those things because, let's be honest, most people don't really want to think about death or talk about death. They feel like it's a voodoo. So let's not talk about that, because that means it's going to happen.
It doesn't have to be the taboo subject that we've been raised with. And I like to look at it as being prepared. And when you've experienced, okay, I could have been taken out today. And it's not necessarily the old person that needs to look at this. Anyone that has a family, regardless of your age, needs the Legacy Blueprint book. Because you've got guardianship issues to worry about if you've got a child. Let's take, for instance, the bridge that just collapsed. They had families. There's a lot of things. These people were just on their way to work or going home, or they were on the bridge working, and life ended. We don't know if we're going to get home from the grocery store. Are we prepared? We don't know. So I don't look at it as it being bad. I look at things as being prepared so that my children and now my grandchildren are okay, and I'm taking care of them. And they know what I want and what my wishes are. And that way they don't have to worry about anything. Mom took care of what she wants. Here's the book. We just got to take care of her stuff. It's all done. And that way, I'm not burdening them to have to say, would mom want this or not? And is it okay for me to say she doesn't want life support, or she doesn't want to eat, or we let her live this long? Stephanie made the decision. It was mom's decision to make.
Yeah. That's so cool. I'm just so glad that you are around and this is your mission, to go out and help those that, like I said, they, really haven't thought about these things and these steps. And you're right. When you leave it to the very end, it can be very devastating. I mean, you're already dealing with the emotions, and then having to not have a plan in place, it can make it very difficult to get through all of that, because the reality is that you have to make decisions. So are you willing to make the decisions before the emotions hit and the chaos hits, so that you already have a plan, at least that's done? And because it can get overwhelming when you've got all these emotions happening and then all these decisions coming after you and you don't know. And and we certainly went through that when my mom passed, and she ended up with pneumonia, and she had been bed bound for a couple of years, and so ended up on a ventilator, had coded, and all of those things. And it was a difficult time because my dad wasn't really sure what he wanted to do, in that situation. I mean, we worked through it as a family, and ended up making the decision to go ahead and just let her be in peace, because there was just no recovering. I mean, the signs were just there. But it definitely put a lot of questions, for my sister and I. And okay, so what do we do? And for the next parent, and what things do we have in place? And so absolutely, these are the discussions you have to have ahead of time, because you also want to be respectful of the wishes of what your parents have too. And sometimes if you don't express that ahead of time, and it's funny, Stephanie, because I have basically expressed it to my husband and to my kids, just verbally, things, and they'd be like, why are you talking about this? Why are you talking about this right now? I'm like, because I just want you to know that in the end, if I have to be on life support and there is really looking like there's no hope, I just want you to know I know where I'm going, and it's okay. Like, don't feel like you have to keep me around for whatever. I know where my permanent home is. So I just want you guys to know ahead of time. If it doesn't look so great, just please, don't leave me there for years and years.
It's great to have those discussions, and it makes it easier to go ahead and put it on paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would encourage you and everyone listening, put it on paper. You've already started the discussions. Go put it on paper and make it official. You can even look them up in your state online and get those done, but you can't sign it unless you're in front of a notary. And then make sure that living will is in the hands of every one of your healthcare providers and in your healthcare portal and at the hospital that you use, so that your next of kin knows where it's at and what it says, but it's with those providers.
Mhm.
It is so important. And, going through all of the motions of getting everything done, but at least having those conversations are so important. Just, the hard part for families, especially as you age, is the conversation, because we've kicked the can down the road because it's taboo. It doesn't get us anywhere. And now we're getting ready to see that silver tsunami with all the boomers coming up. And it's going to be where people that are baby boomers, by the year 2030, there's going to be 64 million baby boomers just in the United States.
Wow.
And we're going to be outnumbering the people making the most money to cover us. So baby boomers are the ones making the most money, or with the most money. And then the next one will be the children, like my son and daughter, their age. Okay. So, and I don't know, what are they? Not millennials, I don't know which one they're called, but anyway. So that's going to be that next one, that's the big one, just like the baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
But the baby boomers are the ones with the most money. So with them, it's how do we help them? Most boomers some are techie, some are not. I'm one of those not techie ones. We were not taught in school computers and all of this stuff. That was after we were grown, And so just under me is when that started coming up. So, some of us got jobs, and, more of the boomers, we're not that integrated. Some of us are, but we're half and half. So we've got to learn how to get them into the apps and into the computer age and work with them. Yet that's why I made it a book form, not an app. I'm working on the app so that people younger than me can still gravitate and use it, but it's more right now. I did it for the senior population because it's a fluid document. It's going to change. And you need to keep it updated. But the app will be for the younger generation, for them to be able to use as well. But, the boomers are the ones it was originally created for, and the ones above that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. That's going to be a great, great resource that you've got, Legacy Blueprint. And so you guys absolutely go to premierseniorresource.com, check out Stephanie's website, check out all that she's doing. You obviously have a lot of gifts and talents, and that those strokes did not, I mean, I know you talk about it slowing you down. I don't think it slowed you down, Stephanie. I think if anything, it sped you up. Because
compensating.
Yeah, well, because I mean, when you think about it, would you have been as driven had it not happened at 28? Would you, you know what I mean? So in many ways, it probably sped you up because you like, okay, what am I going to do with what I do have left? I don't know.
Yeah.
My days are numbered and I don't know what they are. And I've got young kids. So I got to get moving. There's no time to waste. Like that was I was hearing that was the mentality that you had, that, mental stability. You absolutely had it. So even though you felt like, okay, I'm slowing down because of this, no, I think it sped you up, Stephanie. So,
everything is our own perception and what we put on ourselves. And, that's something I put on myself. Is this is what it did. Now I've got to fix me.
Yeah. 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 That's for sure. Stephanie, so this time always goes by so fast, but
Yeah.
I I am so glad that you took the time to come hang out with us today on American Dream Makers, because I do believe that the American dream belongs to all of us. And not only can you achieve it, but you can go beyond. You absolutely have demonstrated that, Stephanie, that you are living the American dream. And now you're helping others as well. And part of that American dream is actually being able to die with dignity, to leave this earth with dignity, to leave this earth with a legacy, so that those that are left behind, so to speak, can still enjoy the things about you when you're gone. And so, Stephanie, thank you so much for being an American dream maker. Uh, my heart goes out to you. Many prayers to you, because that's a huge mission you've got going. And Stephanie, you are an amazing woman.
Thank
Tell us
you.
leave us one more thing to give us as we say goodbye here.
You are giving one day. Make it the very best. And age is not a scary thing.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, premierseniorresource.com, Stephanie at premierresource.com, and her phone number. It's been scrolling this whole time. So absolutely get that number, share this out. People need to hear about this, and they need to get a hold of Stephanie, and she can even do assessments throughout the nation. So don't hesitate to contact her with the questions. She's a very friendly gal, so she'd love to answer your questions. So, all right, Stephanie. Well, we will say see you later. I'm not going to say goodbye, but see you later.
Thank you.
And you have a wonderful day. And we will chat with you another time. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here on American Dream Makers. And again, if you watched this and found value in it, would love for you to share this out. And please like and subscribe my YouTube channel and Facebook. I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn. So love to connect with you all. I'd love to hear how you are living the American dream and how you're helping others to achieve it as well. So come on board, don't be shy, and get a hold of me as well. So in the meantime, I will say goodbye and have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day.